Um, I'm sorry about the title. My keyboard's messed up. I spilled some coffee on it, and it is my fault. The problem is that just adds to the complications, the extra stuff that I gotta do that I need help with. And people always expect help from me. I need their help. They don't need mine. Just getting me to do something will make their lives a little easier. Meanwhile, it doesn't occur to them how much it takes for me to be able to do that for them. How much physical pain, how much time that it eats up. And people always want to change the deal at the last minute. You're like, oh, you got 5 minutes to decide. Well, you want my help tomorrow, or do you want this? I'm gonna change the deal. I'm gonna change the deal. I go, Jesus fuck! I wasted all my resources for the help that you promised, and then you didn't come through. And it doesn't bother you in the least bit what I had to go through when you didn't keep your word. It doesn't bother you in the least bit the things that people did to me because you didn't come forward in court where it mattered. It's kind of chilly here. It's not too bad. You know, I invested in important stuff. Got a big ass truck that I gotta work on. I don't know how to fix the damn thing, but I'm trying. See, a lot of y'all don't understand that the opportunities that you have, I don't. A lot of you guys, the ones who say they did it all themselves, the ones who say that the most are the ones who had the most help. You know, people didn't help me when that help was useful. And that's the biggest goddamn issue. I had been trying to get help the whole time, and instead of helping me, I got victimized for trying to get help. I got treated like I was a stalker for trying to end the stalking against me by Natalie Bollinger's friends and family. Then after her death, all the fucking mean, evil shit that everybody just wants to turn a blind eye to and pretend it didn't happen. Like, yeah, they are justified. They are magically justified after all of the years of victimizing Natalie. And an entire year of victimizing me. And then when she was killed, they got a hold of me first. They got a hold of me on my Facebook to slander my name and fucking bash me as a human being. After everything that they did to her. You can look back. Obviously, I wasn't reaching out to those people to try to treat them like shit. I wasn't trying to get a hold of those people because somebody wouldn't touch my dick. I was trying to get help stopping violence that was started by fucking liars who were on drugs. My guilt was just assumed. That's what the mentally ill tag means. You wonder why I'm so pissed off at all these people that I went to try to get help? Who promised to help me, and every time that it came time to keep their word, they magically fucking couldn't for whatever reason. But they didn't come forward in court about that. I tried, I wasn't allowed. They said I didn't even try. That's what the court said. I didn't even try. I've done nothing but try to show what I've gone through. Meanwhile, they tell me to go do one thing, and I go do that, and they abuse me for doing it, and then they tell me to do something else, and then I get abused for doing that. All these people who pretended that they were my friends, and I have to say pretended. These people who pretended that they loved me. Because when it came down to it, all they needed to do was tell the fucking truth. When I recorded that months and months and months later, after I had to flee the state of Colorado because of abuse by the goddamn cops. Are you fucking kidding me? And you're gonna pretend I'm a bad person because I'm pissed off? No, I had everything that I needed to take care of myself taken away from me for crimes that I did not fucking commit. Crimes that I was never allowed to defend myself against. Crimes that other people actually were committing against me. You look at Natalie's words. She pretends like I might. And people are actually harming me because of this. People say, hey, why don't you break it down into a 20-minute fucking story because we're all fucking stupid. We got ADHD. We don't know what the fuck is going on in our own personal fucking households because we're drunk or on fucking meth. Sean, why don't you cut it down to a 20-minute fucking video? How do you cut down 4 years worth of abuse to a 20-minute fucking video? Or how fucking shitty people are. How much their expectations cost me, or how much I need help. Meanwhile, my predators nearly all have guns. Ted Bollinger, he didn't give a fuck about a felony. See, here's that thing I told you all about pieces of paper. That piece of paper is not going to stop somebody from hurting you. It's just a piece of paper. You need to arm yourself. The police aren't going to fucking protect you. They're going to show up 45 minutes afterwards to discuss what happened to your fucking corpse. If you're homeless, they won't even do that. If you're called mentally ill, they won't even do that. It's just automatically your fault. Congratulations, America. You have an entire class of people that you can do whatever you want to and get away with it because there's nobody who's going to protect them. There's nobody who's going to defend them. You guys will talk about it, but it's mostly drunks and alcoholics. People in houses who are drunk and on drugs are not any more help than anyone else. Matter of fact, at least the drunks and the druggies out on the streets do make themselves useful. They try to be a part of the community, and for some of them, that homeless community, those people looking out for each other, that's what gets them clean. Because you jump through all these government hoops for help that's promised. They tell the American people that all this money is getting spent to help us, but it's not. I mean, all the hell that I have to go through in order to get help because I'm disabled prevents me from having the abilities and the means to defend myself in court. And then once they've railroaded me for fucking years and years, all I'm trying to do is show the fucking truth. Cody Selhorst said he was going to do something. He said he would go talk to Chris Kurth. Well, did that do any goddamn good? No, it didn't. See, now we're at the point where I literally can't trust the law. And you guys are telling me to. You notice that they can't get their fucking story straight. You notice that every time I talk to them and I'm alone, they make the same excuses. They won't listen to what I have to say. They're too busy making excuses or telling me, hey, you need to call this place or you need to call that place. For what? Nobody in law enforcement or in the fucking courts is going to listen to somebody who's called mentally ill. When one of them preys on you, they can use that for the rest of your life to justify preying on you. But it's okay as long as it's not happening to you. And a lot of you folks who are like, Sean, I know what you're saying. I'm called mentally ill, and at least my family helps me, and I'm glad that your family does help you. My family treated me completely like shit. See, that's the thing, is that anybody can commit a crime against me at any point in time and then pretend like they're scared of me, and it magically makes it okay. You should be scared of me. I understand why these people slandered my name. It's because I fucking told the truth. Natalie didn't like that I told that she was on fucking heroin. She shouldn't have lied. Her sister should not have lied. Maddie Boa should not have fucking lied. They claim that I threatened their family in Virginia in 2016. That's a fucking lie. They claim that I stalked Natalie to Virginia in 2016. That's a fucking lie too. And I've already fucking proven that, but I'm not allowed to show that in a court of law. I tried to get help for an entire year before Natalie was killed because people were actually fucking abusing me. And the cops tell me I just need to man up, and they got real police work to do. All these people are like, man, I'm going to need your help tomorrow. I'm going to need your help tomorrow. All right. I need your help every day, but you don't help. You don't look at the evidence. You don't speak up. You know plenty, but you say nothing. You just allow them to do it to me over and over again. You know these people bully me when they come over to your house? You don't even like them. Why do you have them over at your house? You complain about them being drunk. You complain about them being assholes. And I'm talking specifically about 4 or 5 different people. Nearly everywhere I went, a lot of these people were sympathetic, but they were also on fucking drugs. Brett Roloff was a witness to this, and I video recorded that. Him admitting it. Same thing with Miss Peaches. Admitting parts that I told you right at the very beginning. The thing is that if they'd have admitted it right at the very beginning, it would have made all the difference in the world. But no, I had to record it 7 months later and post it up on YouTube. I had to record those phone calls. And sure, their memories weren't perfect, especially after fucking almost a year. And for Miss Peaches, the first time that I'd gone to her was before Christmas in 2016. That was when A Bear was an asshole. And Miss Peaches acted like A Bear for an entire year almost after that. There were 3 times that she was going to help me. But she was working and she was also selling weed. Got to feed your kids. When I said a lot of the parents that I know, they sell drugs and they don't even want to. They just can't make the bills. You say work harder. They work harder, you take away their money. They can't afford a vehicle that'll fucking run worth of shit. And it's not just single moms, it's also single dads. So many single dads don't get any help whatsoever. I mean, men are told, you just need to man up. You just need to man up. A woman, when she cries for help, she doesn't even have to be telling the truth. We are obligated as a society, unless we want to be shunned by our communities forever. We are obligated to try to help that young woman, aren't we? We are obligated morally, according to our society, to help a woman, whether she's telling the truth or not. And we're morally obligated to tell a man that he can't be disabled, he can't be a victim. That makes it so that a man can be victimized for his entire life and there's nothing he can do about it. And most of us men who have been bullied our entire lives are the ones that women come to for help. But then again, a lot of y'all, you want that attention not from good people. You want to believe that you can change people. You have a control issue. If he loves me, he'll change. If you love him, you wouldn't ask him to. If you didn't like who he was, why'd you ask him out? Or why'd you say yes when he asked you? Was it about sex? If it was, keep in mind, you're trying to ask somebody to be somebody they're not. Like for me to be a violent person, you have no idea how difficult that is for me. When people are hitting me and I'm doing my best not to hit them back. When people are trying to break my wrist, I'm already in handcuffs and they're trying to break my wrist and trying to break my ankle and I'm screaming for help. And you know what they're doing? Whatever the hell they want. They just call you mentally ill. They refuse to admit the body camera's into it. Let's see. 3 suns, moon, silversmithing. I don't drink or do drugs, but I do like my weed. Bad connection. I hope you're warm. You should do some drawing on your channel. You're a brilliant artist. In my experience, you can't count on anyone. I've been hurt more than helped. My son's arm was broken by a police officer in his recent arrest. And I hate sex. So do I. I've had sex twice. I didn't like it. I suppose if it wasn't something where I felt I was obligated or I'd get in trouble if I didn't, it might be different. But I lost my virginity to Brianna Hernandez Cordona. She was 19 and I was 32 or 33, and I just felt really gross. But she had been stalking me since she was about 15. And all of us tried to get her to go away, just to leave me alone. But she had it in her head that she was in love with me, and I was the only dude for her. And then she ended up doing a lot of drugs and having a lot of sex. I mean, I was 15 to 16, 17 to 18 to 19. So like 4 years of being a virgin. All this young woman is basically throwing herself at me. And I'm like, I don't want this trouble. When Mobley headbutted her, it was, and when I talk about the chink in his armor, I'm talking about that incident. He headbutted Bree. She was 17 by that point. She should not have been there. Mobley was tripping on acid, and he thought he saw a demon in her. So he headbutted her. He's like, dude, she's been fucking stalking you. She's fucking jailbait. You fucking asked her to go away. You've explained to her why she needs to go away. You fucking woken up with her sleeping on top of you. Like, dude, yeah. I was justified in headbutting her. I'm like, no, dude, you fucking headbutted a 17-year-old. And then you gotta look at the fact that she is a female. She is legally a child. And you fucking headbutted her. Like a fucking asshole. Because you thought you saw a fucking demon? Oh my god, dude. Like, you are seriously exhibiting some really fucked up signs right now. Like, are you seriously schizophrenic? Are you having visual and audio hallucinations right now? And that's when he pulled out all of his fucking mushrooms. And that's right, it wasn't acid, it was mushrooms. And what I should have done as a responsible adult was to leave with Bree. At that point, she had been headbutted. I should have made sure that she got to the hospital safely. She apparently went to go talk to the police, and that got her ostracized. You don't talk to the police. Bree wasn't a bad person, you know? And when I was 19, Janine told me, you know what, Sean, if you want her to go away, just have sex with her. By that point, I was like, you know, she's always really nice to me. She treats me like a person even when nobody else does. She talks to me. She's happy to see me. You know, maybe I should give her a chance. And if she goes away, great. If she's good to me, great. At that point, I was sick of the violence. I was sick of the hatred. The fact is, none of it was coming from me. Me and Nicole Gerald were going to date. She was a therapist. You know, it was pretty weird to me because she worked at this place where she was actually Bree's therapist through Naropa. And she was coming back and telling me about how infatuated and in love with me Bree was, how terrible a breakup we had. And I'm like, oh my God. How can we have a terrible breakup? All I do is hope that she goes away because I don't want to get in trouble because all somebody has to do is see her hanging out, make a bad assumption, and I'm in trouble. It doesn't help that she doesn't want to keep her paws off me while I'm sleeping. And you can't sleep at night. You'll get a fucking ticket. So you got to sleep during the day. And it is fucking creepy when you're a fucking homeless dude and you wake up with a fucking kid sleeping on you. It really fucking creeps me out when I've got people fucking on drugs assaulting children over fucking creepy ass shit like that. And yeah, it was fucking creepy. It did scare the shit out of me. Bree was fucking scary. And everybody's telling me, dude, you got to get rid of Bree. You got to get rid of Bree. I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to do that? She's a human being. What, you want me to go beat her up and tell her not to come back? Is that what you fucking want? By that time, I'd already talked to the fucking cops, you know, not about Bree. They didn't give a shit about Bree. Matter of fact, there was a few times the cops came down to talk to me about Bree. Yeah, dudes, fucking that shit sucks. I'm sorry. How can I help? Mostly they just wanted to make jokes, and that's pretty fucked up too. Like Bree. Bree really needed help. I met two of her brothers, and I know her sister. You know, they were all nice to me. I saw her mom once. Her mom didn't seem to like me, but as you can imagine, here's this 15, 16, 17, then 18, 19-year-old girl, all these years that she's had to hear from her daughter about this creepy old fucking homeless dude, you know? Like her poor fucking mom. And for me, yeah, I do put myself in her mom's shoes in that situation. I feel fucking terrible for her mom. I feel terrible for Bree. And Bree found religion. That's cool, she even wanted to share her religion with me, not force it on me, but come share it with me. And that I'm always down. You want to share your religion with me. You want to share your beliefs and your spirituality with me. I am down with that. Just understand that the moment that you become judgmental, I'm going to want to defend myself. If I'm not allowed to defend myself, then I'll get judgmental back. And I don't want to do that. Like that morning behind the pedestrian shop when that guy had a argument with his girlfriend. I didn't want to hit him back. But his knuckles were bloody. He was hitting the ground with his fist. It was bouncing off the ground into the side of my head. Like, this dude's not going to stop. And he was mounted up on top of me. And I mean, what am I supposed to do? And this is before I hurt my back. I don't know how Bree is these days. Last I knew, I was supposed to meet Bree and one of her friends at Starbucks in Boulder, Colorado in 2016. And well, I never showed up. It's not because I didn't want to. It's because I hurt my back. And then people didn't understand I needed help. They kept telling me to do things I couldn't physically do. And when I'd try, it would exhaust me. A lot of people don't understand that it does take me 10 times longer to do something. There's a lot of people like Brandon Ratner, Veronica Randall, and Miss Peaches, Joanna Taylor, and a lot of other people that I knew before all this happened, that I tried explaining to them, hey, I need you to speak up. I already know what happens when they call you mentally ill, and they can do whatever they want to you, and none of these people understood that. Nearly all of them are like, dude, how can they call you mentally ill? Like, seriously, dude, you're probably one of the smartest and most sane people I know. I'm like, they don't see it like that. And a lot of people, that was our interaction most of the time. Like, they came to me for brightening up their day. But when I wasn't there to do that anymore, they forgot everything that I ever did for them. How did I hurt my back? I was moving an 800-pound gun lathe. On my birthday in 2015, the day before my birthday, I had paid Brandon Ratner and Veronica Randall $200 for a Chevy S10 pickup. I was planning on starting a business. And the day before my birthday, October 17th of 2015, I found out that we got kicked out of my shop because there was a guy named Josh Hughes. He was my computer guy. He was staying out there late at night, up to 4 o'clock in the morning, playing video games, not going to work, had the lights on, didn't have earphones in. This is just the corner of an old barn off the 75th and Arapahoe, you know. I'm sorry, but Three Suns Moon Silversmithing typed, "How did you hurt your back?" I should say who it is that typed it. Sometimes I look back at my videos to try to get information that was there and try to not get overwhelmed while I do it, which happens often. But when I do, I notice that even though there was people that I was chatting with, it doesn't show their chat up here in the corner. Some of them it does, and some of them it doesn't. And it's just strange to me. Anyway, so while I was moving all of my stuff out of the shop into a storage unit, I had like 6 people helping me, and they all dropped the gun lathe at once, and it fucked up my back. But it was pretty badass too, though. You know, I had it converted over so that I could make World War I airplane engines in miniature. It was 1/5 scale. If you look up the name Les Chenary or Les Cherny, um, just look up 1/5 scale monosopape engine. MONOSAUPAPE. It's French for single valve. But I converted the gun lathe over so that it had multiple cutting teeth, so that I could actually cut all of the fins, because there's air fins. There's around the cylinder. There's a bunch of, basically you start with a big hunk of steel and you grind holes into it while it's spinning really fast on the lathe. And those air fins, as they pass through the air, it helps to pull off a lot of the heat that's created by the engine, so you don't have to add weight with water or that whole extra system. Through all of this, I tried explaining to all these people, hey, they're treating me like I'm mentally ill. There's a guy who, he asks me for help a lot, and he helps me. He really does. It's not a one-way thing. You know, I can't even remember what the point I was about to make was, because I wanted to make sure that I pointed out that it's not a one-way thing. I haven't had a good birthday in years. My public pretenders have used their power to cover up the fact that they didn't do their jobs. The police have used their power to cover up the fact that they didn't do their jobs, and they fucked up a lot. The judges were able to use their power to prevent me from having an honest court date, from showing evidence, from defending myself, from being treated like a human being, from facing my accusers. And the most fucked up part is that very first judge, the very first one in Natalie's case, that's the judge who fucked it up the worst. If he hadn't screwed up, magistrate, hadn't screwed up when he was going through all of that paperwork. Natalie's address apparently was on that paperwork, and it turns out it wasn't actually even Natalie's address, it was her grandmother's. It was her grandmother's. That needed to come out. The public was harming me over crimes that I didn't fucking commit. They were harming me for stalking someone that I didn't stalk. But I was stalked. They were harming me for doing horrible things that I had not done. You know, the worst thing that I had done is harass her to put a stop to the bullshit. All of the consequences that I had because she lied. And I tried explaining to all these people who I'm telling them what's going on. This is how you're treated when they call you mentally ill. No, Sean, that's not how it is. You have rights. You have rights. No, Sean, that's illegal. Really? And then I record officers, even officers in this very town, verifying the things that I have said, verifying them. And even that is not enough. I've recorded a lot of officers verifying the things that I am saying. I recorded Miss Peaches verifying that I was telling the truth, and Miss Kinga verifying that I was telling the truth. I put up on this very YouTube the messages between Maddie Boa and I, and Natalie Bollinger and I. I didn't fucking hide nothing. I wasn't allowed to show that in court. But you know what? The people who hated me went through and tried to pull out little bits and pieces and flip around the order in which they happened and try to twist it up like Christians do with the Bible to justify murdering millions of Muslims. And y'all wonder why I'm frustrated. You think pills will fix this. Pills don't fix this. All of my opportunities were taken away when Natalie died, and I need help to defend myself against that slander before I can even take care of myself. You have no idea all of the impositions and roadblocks that I will have in front of me for the rest of my life, in addition to the ones that I already had. Plus, there's the cruelty that I had to endure from a lot of people that I genuinely do fucking care about. A lot of them, it turned out that they were just playing fucking head games. Some of them, it turned out that they just wanted to abuse me until I had nothing left to give. Some of them just wanted my disability money. And some of them genuinely wanted to help, but they're too busy selling fucking drugs and getting fucking drunk and getting fucking stoned and playing fucking word games on their fucking telephones. When are you going to find the time between the drinking of your wine and the smoking of your weed? When are you going to find the time to actually keep your word? When are you going to find the time to keep your word, to talk to me and to talk to the police about this situation when you're busy trying to dig your fucking meth out of your feces in a toilet in Bristol, fucking Virginia? How's that going to work? And by the way, yeah, that conversation, while he's on the shitter, literally digging through his own liquid feces for a bag of methamphetamines, this is a guy who is a witness to this shit. He is too fucked up to know what the fuck is going on at this point, and this is the guy I got to depend on. That was another fucked up birthday. He wasn't even there, though. And I miss him, you know? He was my friend for a lot of years. There ain't nobody I miss more than Jamie's son. Second to him, there's my older brother. Natalie's a close third. Jamie's kind of a twisted, evil cunt. Eric doesn't give a shit about anybody. But you know what? I love them. That's my family. I try to spare them the hell that I'm going through, but at the same time, it's because it's not their fault. It's not the boy's fault. Jamie, yeah, I mean, she did a lot of twisted, manipulative shit. A lot of girls who are pretty and like drugs will do that. She's not the only one I know like that. There's Jackie McKenzie, too. And then there's the girls that wanted to be liked by Jackie and wanted to be liked by Jamie. When they want to do something mean to somebody, there's a lot of people willing to help. And the same thing with Natalie. Now, I don't get to see everything. I'd like to know if Natalie was doing those evil things to me on purpose, or if she was really getting duped by those same predators that had duped her for years and years and years before. And she had always gone back to them, expecting that this time they would love her. She was willing to destroy my life and allow people to harm me repeatedly because she wanted her predators, because they're family, to love her. I can sort of understand that, but my family's very similar to hers. A bunch of drug dealers, a bunch of child molesters. And I had to break free of those people. People say, you need to just let it go. You have no idea how hard it was for me to let go of my family. And I'm talking about at 18 years of age. Realize that they don't actually give a shit about you. Mom loved you because she was getting money from the state. Now she's not getting money from the state. She don't care. She can't put that money up her nose. Sorry, I got the end of this. It's a little cushion that I got on top of a 5-gallon bucket, so I got to see. So I should have gone and worked on a carburetor tonight. I don't know shit about carburetor work, so I'm going to try to watch some YouTube videos. With my computer not working, I can't look anything up or move anything or transfer any files or do anything with the USB drives that I got for doing so. I try to explain to people I don't mean to be shut down, I'm overwhelmed. And everybody's first, this is America for you. Everybody's first idea is, you ever try taking any drugs? You ever try going to a doctor and getting some pills? You ever try tripping acid? You ever eaten mushrooms? My brother's on this stuff called, maybe you should try that. Maybe you should try that. Why does America always go to drugs first? I mean, I want you to take a look at this scenario. You've got a bunch of people who are addicted to drugs and alcohol, and you want to cure them by getting them addicted to drugs and alcohol. Holy fuck. Whew, that's smart. People can get off of a lot of these drugs. It's difficult, but they can get off of a lot of these street drugs. The replacement for these street drugs is killing more people than these street drugs. The replacement for these street drugs is something that their bodies are entirely chemical dependent on. So now you got a choice between heroin on the streets or heroin in a bottle that is more likely to kill you. Let's see. Sad. Are you sleeping on a bed? No, I'm not. Did you watch the gauges in the truck for the tree dude? I take Paxil only because my family insists. I hate any drugs. And see, that's the thing, is that what you have to say doesn't matter. We're going to shut you up and drug you, and that's how it is. Never mind how it makes you feel. Never mind what it does to your brain. Never mind the fact that those drugs make you violent, make you so that you're not as aware of your situation or your surroundings, so that you're living in a haze for 6 weeks, if not permanent damage in some cases. When you're homeless, that's common treatment. You see it all the time. The cops harm a homeless person, and that homeless person tries to tell on the cop, and then they come back a fucking vegetable. People who are perfectly sane just had a bad go of it, lost their job, or even kept their job while they were homeless. But then the cops wanted somebody to pick on. And now one of my friends is permanently schizophrenic for the rest of their life. And that's what those medications do to them. You have any idea how many times they've tried to inject me with that shit? Or how many times they've succeeded? That's what happens when you try to tell on bad police. That's what happens when you tell on predators who wear badges. They can use everything at their disposal. They can use the hospitals to harm you. If the officers that you are trying to turn in, if one of their buddies, or even worse, they themselves get to take you to the hospital, they've already tainted the doctor before he comes and talks to you. The doctor's not going to listen to a word that you have to say. While you're trying to turn in those cops, he's going to treat you like you're fucking schizophrenic. That's what mentally ill means. And the cops, because I didn't have the diagnoses that they wanted, or because they found out that they were wrong about the diagnoses that they hoped I had, they just made bad assumptions. And then they wanted to try to remedy the situation and alleviate their own guilt. Now, let me tell you something. Almost every video that I've made, I want to bring these down off my wall. Now, I have more coming. This right here is an air rifle. Actually, it's an airsoft rifle. You see it? Bright orange tip. Needs to be pointed at the ground. When my other two come in, three. Two of them are Nerf. There's a reason that they're Nerf. This one right here, I've gone out and shot a couple of targets in the yard with it, but it looks too fucking realistic, and I don't want to get shot. Well, I do, but not under these circumstances. I would like for my life to end at the hands of one of these predators, and hopefully somebody investigates. See, it's little red BB. It almost looks like an M16 magazine, but it's got screws in the side and just this little tower in it. But it's not a real gun. When I make a rack for it, most racks for firearms have the butt pointing down and the barrel pointing up. Well, for an AR-15, which all of these, the two Nerfs, this one right here, and my BB gun that's coming, they're all AR variants, which means that I can make a rack that will hold them by the buttstock pretty easily. And I'll line that all along there so that in all of my videos, everybody can see all of my BB guns, all of my Nerf guns. And that way, because I show y'all the orange tip, and no, it shouldn't be pointed up, but it is going pointed up on my wall, just like it would in a gun safe, or really any other than a horizontal rack. Those are probably the best. But that's as far as for holding the firearm, not as far as for safety. There's a shotgun rack that they had. I want to say it was in California, where the shotgun was actually facing towards the floorboard. And I always thought to myself, see, that's the way to do it. It had a little lock around it that was wrapped right around the trigger grouping. You couldn't access the trigger. You had to unlock it from the floor so that you pull it out, but it wasn't holding it by the barrel. It was holding it by the receiver, and it was good and secure. That's what I'd like to see more of. See, there's something that I'm not worried about with this. I'm not worried about anybody getting, what do you call that? Permanently injured if they break into this thing and steal that and if I can bounce a pellet off the wall. Same thing with the Nerf ones. Now, the BB gun, it shoots pretty small BBs. Um, that's something that I'm pretty sure I've seen people get shot with a BB that's come out of a BB gun that's supposed to go 380 feet per second, and it'll embed itself in your skin. So I'm a little skeptical about having one that fires BBs at 420 feet per second, which this one is advertised to do. It's also a full auto BB gun, which means that you can spray a bunch of them in one area all at once. Now, no, it's not going to kill anybody, thank goodness. But it can do enough damage that as soon as I have it, I'm going to do it. There used to be a program here in Nebraska where you could take a firearm down to the police station and you could get a trigger safety for it. I don't, or oh, maybe it's a bar safety for something like this. I don't know. I think it's a trigger safety. But the reason that I want the trigger safety for it, even though it's just a BB gun, I don't think it actually qualifies, is because if somebody breaks in here, this thing's kind of flimsy. If somebody decided that, just like if they wanted to break through your door frames are probably pretty flimsy. They're probably made of wood. It's easy for people to gain access. And if they do gain access, I want them to have difficulties with, especially if it's children. I mean, if an adult comes and steals this stuff, they're going to take it out to their farm or whatever, and they're going to stash it in a barn or, somewhere where they don't think anybody will come find it if someone tells on them or whatever. And then, they'll take it out and play with it once in a while. Whereas if a little kid takes it, he's going to want to go around and shoot his fucking friends with it, especially if he hasn't grown up with firearms. And you can do a lot of damage that way. An actual BB gun, that is something you'll have to worry about shooting your eye out with. Your eyeball is some really soft tissue. I know I got off on some pretty long rants and rambles here, but there's a reason for it. There's a lot of channels on YouTube that got shut down. The people weren't bad people. Matter of fact, some of them were hilarious, but they got shut down because there was guns in their videos, or because they didn't use the terminology that's politically correct for YouTube here in America, where we're against censorship and bunny ears. Skeleton Creek typed, I love you. Oh, we're further up. I love you, I'm sorry. Well, Skeleton Creek, it's all right. You can love whoever you want. Me, I honestly love everybody. I can't help it. I try to say that there are people that I don't love because I'm mad at them because they did horrible shit. But really, I really have to psych myself up to force myself to say that I hate somebody. And I only force myself to do so if there's nothing else that's getting me heard. I mean, I don't know how much somebody should have to go through to show the abuse that they've gone through or the domino effect. How abuse in one county and then I'm shipped to another county by my abusers. And then word of mouth, they tell those people what they want as an outcome. Places like Clearview. I tried to turn in Whale and Lolatai and I was sent to Clearview and injected with drugs. Once before Clearview and once I got there. Whale and Lolatai assaulted 6 more people in 2018 after assaulting me. Clearview was just shut down in September. Why were they shut down in September? Because they did the same thing to me, or because they did to Tibor Hatay what it is that they had done to me, except with Tibor Hatay, it killed him. And because I was assaulted by Whale and Lolatai, but they wanted to charge me with a felony so they could prevent me from going somewhere safe out of state. They wanted to pretend like I was trying to flee. I wasn't trying to flee. Lana and Amanda Engeline kept on pressuring me to go up there. All right, well, let's do this then. Let's make it happen. Then there's a situation with Detective Peterson. I mean, there are so many screwed up ins and outs of it, and it all goes back to Natalie Bollinger lying in Virginia in 2016. When I rescued Jamie from James, you're damn right I recorded the witnesses. Not only that, but both of the conversations that I recorded with Jamie's son are here on this YouTube. They're also set so that nobody else can see them. Why would I put them up here and make them so that nobody else can see them? Because it's evidence. And it's evidence that I don't want destroyed by his mother. I got to figure out a way to transfer everything from this computer to another one, even with the keyboard not working. So I will probably have to expend more money I don't want to spend because, seriously, there's a lot of people who, they're like, all right, Sean, if you do this or you do that or you buy this or you buy that. But I do what they want and then they don't keep their word. They're like, bye. Amy Witcher and Andrew Witcher did that. So I was trying to find a place that I could buy so that I wouldn't be stuck being victimized, having to depend on people like Andrew Witcher and Amy Witcher. And my mom, she was selling her house. She doesn't want to come back here to Chapel for good reason. Chapel fucking sucks, but she did a lot of fucked up shit here. So there's also that. So who did she help sell the house to? Andrew Witcher, the child molester. When I needed help, Amy and Andrew Witcher, instead of actually helping me, they took advantage of me. That's not okay. You call me mentally ill, but then you let people take advantage of me. It's okay to take advantage of mentally ill people, right? I'm not vulnerable because I'm stupid. I'm vulnerable because I'm in a desperate situation. Three Sons Moon Silversmithing typed, you could sue. Oh, Three Sons Moon Silversmithing. Do you have that attack on film, Sean? Yes, I do. I'm sorry you don't have any friends. Three Sons Moon Silversmithing. As far as suing goes, you need to be able to get a lawyer. A lawyer really can't take the case if you're called mentally ill. You have to have a guardian of some sort. So that's where the catch-22 is. They deny me the right to a guardian because of my intelligence. They deny me the rights of a disabled person because of my intelligence. They deny me the rights of even a mentally ill person because of my intelligence, and then they deny me the rights of an intelligent person by calling me mentally ill. And I don't have a guardian, nobody to protect me. So they're able to do stuff like turn off their cameras, separate me from my health, separate me from my resources, separate me from my loved ones, and abuse me at will. And there's no cameras in those places when they magically don't want their cameras to be there. There's no audio on their cameras in most of these places. And in most of these court dates, the body cameras from those officers should have been in those court dates in the hands of my public pretenders and in my hands as well. Instead of them doing everything in their power to prevent me from turning in those officers, to prevent me from getting an honest day in court, to prevent me from actually having someone take a look at all of the abuse that I had to endure, or the empty promises that I had to listen to over and over and over again from people who were full of shit. I've sent jewelry, I made lots of family and friends, and I still never get a call or even a text, so I removed my Facebook account. Have you seen A Beautiful Mind? Intelligent people scare others. Yeah, that's why intelligent people are some of the most bullied people in America. Well, actually, worldwide. People are afraid of intelligence. It's not that we scare them, it's that people are scared of what they don't understand. If you could barely figure out how to tie a stick to a fucking rock, would you be afraid of a man who could figure out an atomic bomb? Of course you would. If you could barely figure out how to poke something with a sharpened stick, are you going to be afraid of somebody who can build a firearm? Of course you're going to be. But then the real problem that you encounter is when you start to impose that on others. Oh, well, he could make a gun and I can't. I'm scared of guns. Therefore, I'm scared of him. If I kill him, I don't have to be scared anymore. If I harm him, spread rumors so that everybody hates him and everybody else harms him for me, then it's magically not my fault. And that's the problem that I am seeing mostly in the United States. We are blaming everything on men, and I am seeing so many women being the ones who are perpetrating this. He beats you. You go to a man who has gone through hell because you think that, well, he's going to understand. And yes, he does. And he helps you out of that situation. And then 2 weeks later, you were going back to the dude who beat the living fuck out of you. And the dude who beat the living fuck out of you is being a fucking jackass. And so are all of his drunken buddies to this fucking poor dork who's already been through hell his entire life. And they're giving him hell because you rescued him or because he rescued you. I mean, there are so many women who do this. I know, just like with a lot of men, they want Carmen Electra to be in love with them. I don't know if Carmen Electra is a nice person. I don't know if she's a mean person. I know that for years and years and years, Carmen Electra was the name that came out of everybody's mouth. Carmen Electra, Carmen Electra. And I get it. I do. It's the same with Brad Pitt for a lot of women and also for a lot of men, mind you. I know a lot of men who have really big crushes on Brad Pitt and strangely Robert Redford. But not all women are that way. Then again, a lot of these people that I said are good people, because I do believe they're inside, they're good people, but they're still cowards. If they come to take your neighbors away and you're too afraid to do anything, and you make excuses, oh, well, they're Jewish and I'm not. If they're only taking the Jews, it's fine because I'm not Jewish. Well, what do you do when you find out that one of your grandpas or one of your grandmas was Jewish? According to German law, your grandpa being Jewish was bad enough. Now, according to Jewish law, you're only Jewish if your mom was Jewish. And there's all these dynamics I got to deal with. I got people who were Palestinian telling me that they wanted to help me, and they didn't like my point of view on the whole Hebrew insurrection, on how Jews are treated over there. So they accused me of hating Muslims. And then there were Jews who were offering to help me. They didn't like my point of view on how Palestinians were treated. And they called me anti-Semitic and blocked me and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, man, why can't you guys just stop hating each other? So much of it too, you know? And then when you need somebody to take it out on because you had a bad day, you had a bad day because your boss called you the N-word. You had a bad day because somebody at work can't stop staring at your backside or making sexual remarks for you or towards you. Or you fucking are sick and fucking tired of your teacher singling you out of everybody in the class as if you're the only one who ever does anything wrong, even when you're not doing anything wrong. Every time something gets thrown, every time something gets dropped, every time something gets whispered. And you're frustrated. Or say your wife left you, or your husband left you and took the kids. Or let's say you're a police officer and you went to try to help somebody out and you got there. And by the time you got there, that person is dead. And now you're looking at a corpse. You might have heard the shots on the way there. And in all these situations, you're frustrated. You can't go after the person that did it. Not right now. You're not going to get immediate gratification or satisfaction. Same thing with your dad raping you. But all of these people in all of these situations can go down to the Pearl Street Mall, pick out a homeless person and say he's mentally ill, and take out all of that aggression. Take that aggression out for your dad sticking his dick in you. Take out that aggression for that cop being an asshole. Take out that aggression for your mom talking to you like you're a fucking idiot. Take out that aggression because you couldn't go to that concert. Take out that aggression because somebody doesn't like the color of your skin. Take that aggression out on somebody. Somebody who isn't your coworker because you don't want to get fired. Somebody who isn't your boss because you don't want to get fired. Somebody who isn't your dad because you don't want to end up homeless. And then you tell them they wanted it, needed it, chose it, and deserved it. You tell them they just need to work harder. And then you won't let them get any sleep at night. They're not allowed to use a blanket. There's 4,000 homeless people in Boulder County, and there's less than 200 beds in the entire county for homeless people. And they say, oh, well, you just need to go to the homeless shelter. Oh, my God. Meanwhile, I got warrants out not because I did anything wrong, but because my public pretenders would not do their jobs. They outright refused. Nearly all of them told me I have an overwhelming caseload and I can't possibly defend everyone. Well, that right there, just those words right there, are grounds for a fucking mistrial in the United States of America. In every single state. And they knew that. And that's why they manipulated the situation the way they did. They didn't want to do their job. Public pretenders spend 99% of their time trying to intimidate innocent, homeless, and disabled people into pleading guilty so they don't have to do their fucking job. Three Sons Moon silversmithing. There was some guy hitting homeless men in the head with a hammer while they slept. Was that the one in Colorado? I'm not sure if y'all remember back in was it the late 90s or early 2000s? There was a person running around murdering homeless people. And like here we were looking at 7 or 8 homeless people that had all been killed. And then one of the news stations had said something about how there could be up to 21 victims. And then we never heard anything about them again. Never again did we hear another word about the dude. A lot of homeless people are killed in Denver. A lot of homeless people are murdered in Boulder. Do they get investigated? No, they don't. There's no doubt in my mind that Danny was murdered, but his death was preventable. If he hadn't been homeless, if he had been a college student, the police would have been there, Johnny on the spot. They knew that he was out there before 6 o'clock in the morning, not breathing and unresponsive. I found him dead at 10 o'clock. He'd been dead for hours. I had to stop Tony from giving him mouth to mouth. There were fluids of every color coming out of that man's body with those chest compressions. And there were multicolored fluids traveling from where his mouth was to the planter, and it was dry and it was crusty. And I'm not sure how many of y'all have had the displeasure of seeing a dead body. I'm not talking about freshly displayed in a wooden box. When it's your loved one and they're the difference between these people and myself is that I was trying to stop abuse and they were trying to avoid embarrassment. Same thing to this day. Shannon was embarrassed by her alcoholism. That's Shannon Alvarado. Brett was embarrassed by his meth addiction. Natalie and Alicia, both embarrassed about theirs. Same thing with Maddie Boa. And there's Chelsea Worsing. I'd gone to her to try to get help to put a stop to all this, too. Chelsea said the only reason she didn't come forward is because of her disability, which she's got autism. She's got autism, just like me. She said it's hard to make friends because of my disabilities. Boy, don't I know it. You got to be better than everyone else. You got to be nicer than everyone else. You got to put up with more shit than everybody else. You have to be perfect at all points in time. And even then, someone is going to have a bad day and you're going to have to take the brunt of it. The situation with Sandy from Lodgepole. There's a guy who he talks about her a lot and how frustrating she is. Goes on and on and on about her. And then I can't say nothing because if I do, he says I don't care, or oh well, she really doesn't bother me. If she really doesn't bother you, then why are you spending sometimes literally hours a day complaining about her? By the way, she threatened my life, and you're a witness to that. You could have come forward to the cops, but you didn't. And Sandy's been nothing but trouble since. My birthday this year, I drove Sandy around all over the place because she can't stay sober. It ain't my fault. But I don't hate her. I just wanted her to stop. Same thing that I wanted with the officers here. Same thing that I wanted with the townsfolk here. Same thing that I wanted from the media and from the police. I just wanted them to treat me like a human being. I mean, everything that I needed to defend myself, to even take care of myself as a disabled person, was taken away as soon as Natalie was killed. And before Natalie was killed, Ken and Leah, they had stolen my money. I literally could not take care of myself. I had to make a choice between being in Colorado where there was services for people who are autistic, or be stuck here in Nebraska where everybody's fucking drunk or on drugs and fucking All they do is fucking complain about everybody else all fucking day. That's all they do. And then when they need help, they expect me to help them whether I'm capable or not. And I try. I do genuinely care about these people. I mean, Sandy didn't lie to me. She told me on the day that I met her about her mental issues. She didn't hide them from me. I knew that this was a possibility of something that I would have to deal with. Just like the situation with Natalie, I knew it was a possibility of something that I would have to deal with. An addict who is fucking going out of their goddamn mind and about to relapse or just relapse is a very fucking dangerous creature. Anyway, I've got some money and I'm going to try to set it aside and try to get some property with it. I'm going to try to live off of $100 to $150 a month um, for gas and insurance mostly. Obviously, I can't go hunting with that thing. If I shot a mouse with it, the mouse would beat the shit out of me for shooting it with a plastic BB. It'd probably be some tree hugging hippie fucking mouse who's just sick of people's shit. Yes, I understand that could be construed as um, schizophrenia or as if I am hallucinating mice. I assure you that I'm not. I'm just making a joke. A cob house, I've done that. All right. You know what a loaf is, right? Absolutely. For a lot of y'all, you don't want to say that you're going to go drop a loaf in your house. Me, I understand that if you're building a cob house, you're going to have to drop one loaf after another. Cob houses are pretty nice. It's made primarily out of straw or native grasses mixed with dung of some sort. That's poop. Dirt and water or mud if it's already mixed. And what you do is you take your thumb or a stick and you push it into the loaf. And then as you're stacking it up, you stack it around like you would bricks. You make what's called a course. You make the first course. That means that, let's say you make a cement pad when you're making bricks. In the case of a cob house, what you're doing is you're clearing the ground. With the bricks, you set them up all around the perimeter against that piece of cement. And after you've gone all the way around and put down every brick that goes against the cement, then you build the next course, course number 2. You do the same thing with a cob house. You build it around in concentric circles. And if you want to make it a dome, you make the circles a little bit smaller as you go in. And what you do is each brick, instead of making mortar in between them, you poke them with a stick or with your thumb so that it pushes some of those grasses into the next piece. And it kind of helps to lock them together like Legos. I don't know everything Three Suns Moon Silversmithing. I didn't have very many friends and I always wanted them. I always wanted to make the world a better place. I wanted to make sure the cruel shit that happened to me didn't happen to others. And you know what? Most of the addicts that I know didn't start off that way. They learned that there's no such thing as hell. The best that they will ever have is escaping it for a few hours with that next beer, with that next bottle of whiskey, with that next bottle of rum, with that next light bulb, or that next shot of heroin. I made 7 videos about different drug types and how to identify the addict so that people can tell the difference between someone who's on alcohol, somebody who's on meth, somebody who's on heroin, somebody who's on acid. And I got Facebook banned for being educational. Cob houses are nice. One thing that I would really like to, blackberries are a beautiful thing. You can build blackberries structurally into a house. There are different types of saplings that you can use and incorporate with a cob house in order to make something even more structurally sound. Something where your walls are actually living and moving. Um, when I designed my Roman marching fort, I didn't design it as an encampment for 2,000 Roman legions. I designed it as a house for people who want to be left the fuck alone, people who have sensory overload issues, people who, when they walk down the street in the city, get overwhelmed. The best way to do that is with a villa. The first thing you do is build the outside wall. A villa and a Roman marching camp are pretty much the same thing. They're built on the same basic idea, or the same basic building platform. An outside wall, and then inside of it, you've got the living area and the food, and all of your stuff is in there. First thing you do is start by digging a ditch. And as you dig the ditch, sorry, train going by, obnoxious. For me, having to go to police who blow me off, and now when I told y'all, if you don't go in with me, this is what the cops are going to do. This is what the hospitals are going to do. This is how I'm going to get treated afterwards. They're going to use this as an excuse for the things that they did beforehand, to justify the things they did beforehand, to try to peg me as mentally ill, because then it magically all goes away. Magically, the crimes that they committed all go away. Magically, these officers get to keep their jobs. They get to keep their pensions. They don't get into any trouble. And who has to take the brunt of all of it? Their victim. So what you do is you dig the trench all the way around your property and you throw it towards the inside. You dig down 3 feet. You throw that towards the inside, now you've built yourself a 3 foot wall. That 3 foot wall with the 3 foot trench is a 6 foot wall. You can do that before you build a house on your property in most of the United States. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to get a permit for it. You do have to call the digger's hotline so that you don't chop through some fiber optic cable or 100-year-old sewer or something of that nature. But after you've built it, you grow your blackberries on the outside. Blackberries got thorns all over them. That'll help to protect you from anything that wants to come in. You've got natural barbed wire. Yeah, people don't want to trudge through that to come and get you. They will leave you alone. On top of the walls, you start planting fruit trees. The reason for planting the fruit trees on top of the walls is because they'll start to grab any rocks or anything that's in there. And they'll start to actually hold everything together. On the inside of it, you basically start setting it up, the rocks, so that you've got some that are sitting there as a backrest and some of them that are sitting there so that you can sit your duffus on it. And you notice, see, it's kind of a not quite a 90-degree angle. Well, this one right here, if you lift it up part of the year, you lift it up, you're not using it as a chair. This area from here down is all filled with dirt. You can grow your plants in there. After harvest, you take these rocks, you put them back down. If you want to make some money, you have yourself a Renaissance festival or a medieval fair or something of that idea, something of that nature. I know a lot of craftsmen who are autistic. The reason that they're craftsmen who can do things that nobody else can do is because they got a lot of time on their hands. It's difficult to try to pretend that we're normal all the time for a bunch of people who think they're normal, and there's no such thing as normal. They just want you to be like them. And everybody is different. You got a bunch of people who are different who all want everybody else to be like them. Now, that is the crazy kind of thinking that brought us to Auschwitz or Auschwitz, however you want to pronounce it. Everybody has to be like Hitler says. You know, the Japanese were just as racist in World War II. So were the Americans and the Italians and the Greeks. Heck, some of that bitterness still survives to this day. And some of it started in the Teutoburg Forest in the year 9 AD, when the very first emperor of Rome, Octavian, he changed his name. When you become a living god in your own mind, you get to change your name to Augustus. They name a month after you. And then you get to send your relatives, who you give higher authority than they are really properly intelligent enough to handle. Just because he's a lawyer doesn't mean he knows shit about being a general. And that battle between Varus and Arminius in the Teutoburg Forest, well, that's a battle that's still being raged to this day. Arminius was later renamed by the Germans as Hermann, and they built a big statue to him where they thought the battle took place. We don't just hold on to grudges for a few days or a few years. We hold generational grudges and cultural grudges and national grudges. Oh, they're from the wrong country. They're from the wrong country. Right there. You hit that head on the nail. Bonk. Sexism is, well, actually, nationalism is the worst prejudice I know. Sexism is the second. There are a lot of men and women out there who aren't sexist, but they also don't want to get involved. A lot of the ones that I do see getting involved, wanting to speak out about sexism, are being more sexist than the people that they are speaking out about. A lot of people decided to be mean to me just because of my gender. And I was mean to them back about their gender in exactly the same way, or in most cases, a much more milder form. There's just certain things I'm not willing to say, and there are certain words I'm not willing to use. But the fact of the matter, and the point of the matter, is that it's okay for them, but not for me. If they do it, they're in the right, but if I do it back, I'm in the wrong. If someone punches me and I punch him back, I'm the bad guy. But what if you punched me yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before? What if I came to you yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before? What if I told you over and over and over again, hey, I'm being abused. This person is punching me in the face. I need you to do something. I need you to stop locking me up and assaulting me for trying to turn this person in. Instead of being pissed off at me because after repeatedly being abused, I eventually defended myself. But when you're called mentally ill, nobody wants to listen. It's too easy to make money off of you. Now, that judge who fucked up in Natalie's situation, while Natalie was still alive, by having that address on there. Now, obviously, that's not supposed to be on there. It says on the thing not to write the address on there, and it's right there. Now, even if it did not put Natalie at risk, had I actually been a predator by having that address there, if it had been her grandmother's address, then no, that doesn't put Natalie at risk. So that judge is magically not in any trouble for it. But the fact is that that was used to try to get the general public to harm me, to hate me, to do the terrible things that they actually did. And I want to ask you something. After having your name slandered all over the news worldwide, okay, not just in Colorado, not just in Denver, worldwide, and being assaulted nearly everywhere that you go, being treated like shit nearly everywhere that you go, how are you really going to feel? Are you going to want to live through this? Are you going to go through another day of getting punched in the face and people say, there's nothing I can do, there's nothing I can do? I just want the violence to fucking stop. I want to be left alone and allowed a place where I will not be victimized, or where at least I can have a say so. Whereas when you're in low income or you get disability money, all of the shit that you have to jump through, and you're not allowed the money or the resources to defend yourself against the police when they do something like this. If you end up with those resources, they say, oh, well, he's not disabled, and then they take it away. And then they pretend that you're a criminal because you were getting help. See, in Natalie's situation, because I was trying to get help to stop the violence that I was having to endure because she hadn't told the truth. You know, I still have to deal with that every day. Get away. Everybody says that. I have moved over 40 times in the last 4 years. I need to be able to clear my name. I need to be able to see my loved ones. I need to be able to establish a support network that isn't going to take advantage of me, that does care about what's best for me instead of what's best for their own reputation. Uh, Three Sons Moon silversmithing type. Go across the country and change your name. Go off grid and flip them the bird. Start a new life. See, that's the thing. People have been saying that since the beginning. From the beginning, I knew that between running away and getting a day in court was the only way to do it. But I tried to start a new life. I tried to move to all these different places where I had to depend on people who were alcoholics or drug addicts, who were violent. And not all of them were physically violent. Not all of them were verbally aggressive. Some of them were one or the other. But I can't work. I can't take care of myself. I can't see my loved ones. I can't function. Telling me to move somewhere else. It costs a lot of money every time I have to move. And moving doesn't make things better. Moving doesn't stop the victimization that I have to go through. Moving doesn't prevent me, or moving doesn't make it so that I can see my loved ones in all of these places where I literally have to be afraid for my life to even show my face because of crimes that were committed against me and because of the cover up by police across the state of Colorado. 17 of the places that I stayed since Natalie died in 2017 have been on the fucking news. This is not a joke. Sally Treon, the pregnant woman who was staying on her couch while I was there. She was a meth addict. Guess what? She had a baby. It was a son. And he died a year to the day after Natalie was killed. Telling me to sell my art. See, that's the thing, is that if I get any money in, then they get to pretend that I'm not disabled and they take my money away. Type in, they're not worth breaking my heart over. No, everyone needs love. Everyone. Everyone. A lot of people think that autistic people don't have emotions or they don't know what love is. No, we know that we're treated differently and we're not allowed to have those emotions like other people do. We get shamed over the thought that we might have those emotions. If a woman thinks that we might have a crush on her, then we get beat up, we get harassed, we get teased, we get treated like we're bad people because she got the wrong fucking idea. Moving doesn't change how we're treated. Moving doesn't change the fact that I can't take care of myself. Moving doesn't make it so I can see my loved ones. Moving doesn't get my resources back. It doesn't get me a safe place of my own. Getting government help has done nothing but force me into a situation where I can't do anything except be victimized. And I get told it's my fault for defending myself. Like, you hit me 20 times. And then when I cover up, you go, oh, see? See? He's fucking throwing his fists at me. No, I'm covering up because you're fucking swinging at me. And then you try to pretend like you hit me 30 times because I swung at you first. Fuck no. After you hit me 30 times, I finally covered up because I had to. And the reason I didn't cover up to begin with is because I had to be afraid that you would do exactly what you fucking did. When you're called mentally ill, anybody can play fucking victim and get away with it. And everyone knows it. Candace Bondurant knew what she did was fucking wrong. Miss Peaches knew what she did was fucking wrong. Sammy Leon Lawrence IV knew what he did was fucking wrong. Officer Herr knew what he did was wrong. Officer Lolatai knew what he did was wrong. Officer Peterson knew what he did was wrong. Same thing with Officer Rogers. Same thing with Officer McRae. Sorry, Deputy. I'm in the conversation with George on here. He's a witness that I've known for many years. A man who knows that I'm not a fucking druggie or a drug user or a fucking drug salesman. He's also a witness to the assaults in the fucking jail. And he spoke out about it on this very fucking YouTube. Some people fall in love too easy, some people fall in lust, some people fall in infatuation, and some people fall into temporarily not lonely. Some people fall into horny as all hell. And some people fall into God, it feels good to be held. I am so glad to be held. There's no such thing as in love. You either love or you do not. Love at first sight denotes automatically that it is not love. I wish that I was blind so that when I love people, they know that I love them for them, not for how they look. I wish somebody would pay to have my penis and my testicles removed so that people would stop pretending that everything is about sex, or must be. Get my land. I got $4,000 left. I'm trying to get land, but there's all these rules and stipulations. $4,000 ain't much. And telling me to save it up. I'm trying. Right before Natalie died, I was saving up money to try to get this place, this very house that I'm at now, for $7,000. Can you imagine that? The lady who owned it was pretty strung out on meth. She eventually sold it for $1,500. $1,500. Nobody's gonna sell me property around here. They don't want their name associated with mine. See, that's the thing. When a young woman who's pretty and everybody has a big ass crush on her says some dude is stalking her, they start saying shit like, oh, well, he must be after your vagina. Of course, they say it a lot meaner. They start saying it's only about sex and I'm infatuated and I'm just pissed off because I want to get laid. No, these people are assaulting me over your fucking lie. That's what I'm pissed off about. I'm not going to call you a cunt for not touching my penis. Jessica Martindale didn't touch my penis. Ask her if I called her a cunt for it. See, all these people that I've called names, none of it's over not getting laid. It's over abuse. Now, how can anybody in the court system, after me being posted up as some sort of fucking monster and never being allowed to defend myself, how could those courts dare look away and pretend like I could not possibly be targeted after a city with millions of people in it has that on there for their nightly fucking news? And then the first thing you do is assault me, charge me for felony assault against an officer, so I can't even leave to somewhere safe. You allow my predators to get away, and then you allow my predators to continue to do it for years. Fuck you. Colorado sucks. 3 Sons Moon Silversmithing. My brother lives in Colorado. He and his wife have 7 acres. There's a piece of land that I'm looking at for $2,900 on the very south part of Colorado. The problem is safety. Can I travel there safely? See, there's these things called hidden warrants. The cops pretend like you don't have a warrant, like everything's good and kosher and everything is dropped. But that's what it looks like. And then when you go there, they arrest you, pretend you're some sort of a terrible fucking person, and then you go to jail and they fucking railroad you again because nobody gives a shit. And nobody does give a shit. When somebody accuses you of stalking them and threatening their family, when you didn't do those things, and then people are starting to spread those rumors and then treat you like you're a rapist and a child molester. Natalie was 18 years old. She was an adult when we became friends. I didn't even know her fucking name before that. There's a grand total of 1 message between her and I before she was 18. I didn't know how old she was. What I knew is that her and her sister and their much, much older boyfriends were walking down Pearl Street, or actually walking down Main Street in Boulder, Colorado, and saw me, and one of them ran over to give me a hug. I barely remembered these girls. The last time that I remembered seeing either one of these girls had been years before, when Emery and Arturo had those very underage women, or young women, in their sleeping bags with them. Like, no, 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 no. Either you let both of those girls sleep in the same sleeping bag and you protect them and you stay up all night to make sure they're protected, or you and your buddy take shifts protecting them. You take shifts and you two can share the other sleeping bag. It is not appropriate for Arturo, a 30-year-old man, to be in a sleeping bag with a 13-year-old Natalie or Alicia Bollinger. So after years of not seeing them, and the last time that I saw them was that situation right there, I didn't know how old they were. I figured they were probably about 18, but they gave me their names and gave me their Facebooks and told me to hit them up. And then months and months and months and months later, they hit me up. Now, what does that mean? First of all, it means I didn't send them a friend request. I just sent the message like they had asked me to. Second, it means that she had to type in my name and look me up, because it had been months and months and months and months since I sent that message. And those of you who got to see those, you get to see that I was telling the truth the whole way along. Natalie and I were friends. You get to see in our conversations on multiple occasions where she says she thought she was in love with me. And we never dated. But one of these nasty fucking weasels, Kara Johnson Miles, who is twisting and manipulating shit, she's some wingnut off of a fucking internet sleuth group. She's a fucking nut job. And that woman tried claiming in court that she was Natalie's mom's best friend and that I am Natalie's ex-boyfriend. Me and Natalie never fucking dated. By Natalie's own admission, we never dated. We never had sex. We did not have that kind of a relationship. But everybody trying to force that on her and I, as if that's what it was supposed to be. It never was. Every time she tried telling me she thought she was in love with me, I sidestepped it for a reason. I didn't want her to fucking kill herself. It's the only way I'll ever have sex. 3 suns, moon, silversmithing type. The only way I'll ever have sex again is if I know that I'm loved. And I gotta love too. It's gotta be mutual. Exactly. Otherwise, it's just gross. Like with Jamie, there was a lot of times that she tried having sex with me when she was drunk, but she was drunk. And I didn't want her having sex with me just because she felt obligated. And why would she feel obligated? Well, I helped Jamie out a fucking shit ton. A lot of people did, especially after her mom died. Everybody just wanted to party and get fucking drunk. And then when they were gone, I'd clean up the mess, change the diapers, make the coffee, make sure Jamie was up for work. There's some good people, and 3 suns, moon, silversmithing type, that's horrible. You're so passionate, though, that it might scare someone. I bet when you're in love, you wear your emotions on your sleeve and no one understands how strong your love is. That scares some. Yeah, I tried a group on Facebook, Too Many Armchair Detectives, Defectives, LOL. Yep, gross. I agree with you. So I was in over my head before I even drove out to Virginia at Natalie's request that she was gonna fucking kill herself if I didn't. I already had too much on my plate. I already couldn't take care of myself. I was already too fucked up to take care of myself because that gun lathe on my birthday a year early. And then they tried playing it off like I had stalked them there, like they weren't my friends. Like everything that I did there wasn't their idea. It was their idea to go to Virginia Beach. It was their idea to go to Elliot's Coffee Grounds on my birthday. Those were their ideas. Are you going to invite people to go do that shit if you think they're a stalker? If you think somebody is a stalker, is that the one person you're going to call and say, hey, I'm going to kill myself if you don't show up? If you think somebody's a stalker, are you going to offer to make them a cake for their birthday? If somebody is a stalker, are you going to invite them and ask them to stay behind your work instead of the place that you had picked out to stay? If you're a stalker, is that person going to call you over at their lunch every day to come have lunch with them or to come out and have a cigarette with them on their cigarette break? It's horrible. And I need people to speak out. I also need help with this electronic stuff. I've been trying. And, I had a lot of stuff saved. I did. And it got fucking stolen because I didn't have a safe place, because law enforcement didn't want to do their fucking jobs. Public pretenders didn't want to do their fucking jobs. They just wanted to get that slab of meat off of their fucking piece of paper so they could move on to the next slab of meat. Then tell people who fucking did horrible things to me, tell me that I wanted, needed, chose, and deserved it. People who promised to come forward and tell the truth, who just watched or looked away while these things happened to me over and over again. 3 Sons, Moon, Silversmithing typed, I would bake the cake, but they would have to eat it over yonder. You know, Natalie never made that cake. I wasn't mad at her about it. I got to spend my birthday with Miss Natalie. That was the last time I ever saw her, my birthday in Virginia in 2016. The way they typed it out and posted it all up, they tried to make it seem like I was following Natalie around in Colorado, chasing her around and sleeping behind where she worked in Colorado. No, I slept behind where her sister worked in Virginia at her sister's request. It wasn't in Colorado. I didn't go from Virginia to Colorado to stalk Natalie. I went from Virginia to Colorado to get the fuck away from Natalie and her family. They could have that whole state to themselves. When Natalie died, I didn't even know she was in the fucking state of Colorado. I had to ask people. I reached out to Sarah Rubiolo and I reached out to Brett Roloff because Brett Roloff was closer to Virginia and because Sarah was closer to Boulder. None of them spoke up, but I got enough evidence in messages to show that I've been telling the truth. I got enough evidence in conversations between us all to show that I'm telling the truth. But because it's not a written police statement on written police parchment, it's just not fucking good enough. I go down there to show them the evidence in person because I don't have the ability to do it out here. And then they just keep on asking the same question over and over again. That state patrolman that I talked to, I explained to him that I don't have the technical abilities or knowledge or even a place to do it to get this shit to him. That's why I'm bringing it in person. He asked the same question 8 different ways, 8 times until he got one that was close enough so he could alleviate himself from doing his fucking job. And although I got it recorded and you can listen to all 8 of those, when it comes to actually going to court, if anybody ever makes any attempt to investigate it, they're not going to look at that shit. They're not going to care about the recordings. They're going to call me mentally ill, pretend that I'm lying because nobody else was fucking there and present. And that officer, all he's got to say is, well, I asked him if he knew how to do the computer stuff. He said yes. No, I fucking didn't, asshole. I didn't even catch what the fuck you did until I went back and listened to the thing. Fuck that state patrol officer. Fuck every law enforcement officer in the United States. There's no such thing as a good cop as long as they enforce immoral laws. And then the laws that we need enforced, they selectively ignore, and they're allowed to. Now, how disgusting is that? I fought hard to get body cameras forced onto the police in Colorado so they couldn't turn off their body cameras and kill any more of my loved ones. Kill! That's the word right there. These people are fucking dead. DEAD, dead. Happy fucking Christmas. By the way, when my Nerf guns come in, I'll show them to you. I'll show you the darts. I'll show you how they come apart. It'll be cool. When I get I'll show you what the other one that I was looking at is. Just because that's something that I really wanted to do. Let's see. One of them is called the REKT. REKT. All right, let's see. The Umarex REKT. See, these are two things that you guys might want to pay attention to. That's a shame. I was raped by a cop when I was 19 and just had a baby. Okay, cool. The same thing happened to a young woman named Crystal in Boulder. She was raped by an officer after she had a baby, and when she tried to turn in the officer, they dragged her to a nut hatch and injected her with drugs. All right, this is one of them. You notice how it's brightly colored? Less likely to get you shot. This is another one. It's also brightly colored and less likely to get you shot. The reason that I ordered the Nerf ones is because the one that I wanted to get, um, all right, is a full auto BB gun. Oh, Mr. Track, I'm sorry. That's probably not something I should have read out loud. I assumed you typed it because you weren't trying to hide anything. Um, it's called an R1. Um, and it's by Crossman. But it looks pretty realistic. The biggest issue with it is that it doesn't have an orange flash hider on it. Even the one behind me has an orange flash hider on it. That way it can be identified as not a real firearm. If I walk around town with this or even shoot it in the backyard here, I might get shot by police for doing so. So that's why I got the Nerf ones that are brightly colored so that I can practice proper firearm safety and also try to get people around me to be a little safer with their firearms without having to run the risk of somebody screwing up and putting a hole through somebody else. Anyway, y'all be safe. I'm sorry I rambled for 2 hours. I had shit I probably should have been doing. I'm going to go up and talk to a gentleman. He's not in as desperate a situation as I am, but he does need help. Hopefully, he doesn't need my help for the rest of the week because I need to figure out how to use eBay so that on Friday, if I've got it all figured out and all the bugs worked out and I understand it well enough to sell things, I'll be able to sell stuff for him on eBay and try to make up a little bit of money. The problem is, as soon as I start making money, I gotta report to the government that I made some money so they can take away money so that I can't use it to defend myself. Y'all be safe and good night. I'm sorry about all of this. I'm sorry about the current state of the world we're living in. A lot of y'all are now going through things that I've had to go through my entire life, and you don't like it. I can see that. People are complaining who are telling me that I was a bad person for complaining when I had to go through it by myself while everybody else was all lovey-dovey. And now a lot of them are mad at me because now they can't run around and see all their loved ones and do all the traveling that they want to do. They can't afford everything that they want to try to spend their money on. So they're angry and they want someone to take it out on. Not all of them though. See, Three Suns, Moons, Silversmithing typed, "Have a good evening, Sean. Thanks for the good conversation." You're welcome, Three Suns, Moon, Silversmithing. Good night, y'all. Be safe.